introduce it, Karl. Okay, one, two, three, take one, take one, take two, take three. All right, folks, good evening. Special good evening to all those of you already locked on my live this afternoon. It's our usual chit chat that we always have every Saturday afternoon from around 6 o'clock. I try my very best to have a diverse of topics. So it's not only the political agenda, it's not only the politics that we're interested in Dominica. We're interested in Dominica's development as a whole. And I make it my business to go around the country and find, certain things that is worth listening to in terms of our development in Dominica. And this afternoon, we have in our presence a very young man, as you can see. He will introduce himself in a while. I invaded his space this afternoon. I met him doing some very good work this afternoon. But we just want to have a little chit chat with that young man this afternoon as to a business that he has been doing for a number of years now. He will be telling us everything about that business. Again, let me just repeat, today is the 12th of September 2020. And I just want to thank all of you who are already locked on this little live session this afternoon. Later on, after I finish with this gentleman here, I'll be touching on a situation, a very unfortunate situation that happened last night in Dominica as it relates to a heist or a robbery that occurred at Asta fans. There are many, many questions surrounding that. But please stay tuned. We'll be touching on that sometimes later. But now we have here a gentleman, as I said. I'm going to give him the opportunity now to introduce himself, and so we can springboard right into the discussion for this afternoon. Good afternoon, brother. How are you?
I'm good, thank you, and good afternoon to your many listeners. My name is Don Correa. A lot of people know me as being the former airport manager at Kingsfield Melbourne Airport, and also the former disaster coordinator.
Yes.
With the government services, I worked in the government services for well over 30 years. Now I'm facing what all of us will face at one point in time, retirement.
Mm-hmm.
I am into a little agro-business.
Okay, that's good.
Which started off a long time ago from the efforts of my mother. Most people might know my mother as being the first manager of HHV Research, Mrs. Correa. And she started that little enterprise, being a singly employed. My father, he was married to her, but my father unfortunately was not employed, and she substituted her income by doing this small agro business called Karls pepper sauce. And through the years, we have manufactured that pepper sauce on a very limited scale, a kitchen industry, and so facing what appears to be my reality, retirement, I decided, well, let me put some more effort into it and to take it to another level. So that's where I am.
That's where you are. Okay, let me just increase that volume a little bit. Some of the persons viewing saying that they cannot hear you properly.
Okay. I need to speak into the microphone.
Yeah, that should be good. That should be good.
Yeah.
It should be sensitive enough. So, Mr. Correa, let me just again thank you for speaking to me this afternoon. We already have a number of persons viewing you this afternoon. In terms of the small business that you speak about, what is that business in reality?
Well, it's a source. It started off actually in the 60s. So, as I said, my mom used to work at Asta prior to being at the church. And actually the source started off as a byproduct from her cousin, her sister-in-law, my uncle's wife.
Okay.
Making black pudding.
Okay.
And the extra seasoning and the extra peppers. She and one called Mrs. Book, Regis Book's mother, brought up the idea, why not take the residue from the black pudding, the leftover seasoning, and let's make a sauce. And they did that, and actually it became very popular among their friends, their immediate friends.
Yes.
And they wanted a name for it. And she says, well, why not name it after my last son, who is Karl. Karl is in New York.
Okay.
And that's when the Karl's pepper sauce emerged. And it has remained that way until now, from 65, 66. But it was very limited in scope and in production. So now that the opportunity or there's market share out there, I tend to want to believe that I can take it to a higher level.
Yeah.
And that's my aim.
Yeah, that's your vision for this little business.
Yes.
I took note, Mr. Correa, of the fact that you say that started all the way back 1960s.
Yes.
So we're looking at pretty close to a business that you have been part of, your family have been part of for pretty close to 50-something years.
Yes. But as I said, it was a very
low-key business then.
Kitchen type industry, more or less for friends and immediate relatives, and friends. But now we're trying to commercialize it.
Okay.
And to take it to a higher level.
Good. In terms of the struggles, let us start with your mom. In terms of the struggles you remember her having with that small pepper sauce business, any come to mind right now?
Oh yeah, my mom was a hard-working lady. Anybody who remembers my mom at Richard's, she was hard-working. She had to raise 4 of us, and my dad was, unfortunately, he was not, as we want to say, he had some challenges.
Okay.
So she was the only breadwinner. So to complement the income and support us going to school,
yes,
excuse me, she decided to take on that side income earner.
Okay.
Apart from that, we went into agriculture. I did agriculture as a young boy, growing up, again to supplement our income. So I used to be producing Hadia bananas. I used to be producing bananas, and in between we plant our seasoning so we can subsidize the pepper sauce, and therefore that helped me to build more interest in it. Granted, I had a full-time job when I started to work as an air traffic controller at the airport and airport manager, and things happened. So the interest kind of swayed a little bit. But as I said, now that the reality is creeping in, I need additional
box.
Not only box, but I need additional activity in my life to
Okay,
sustain me.
good.
Not only in the money.
Yes.
I need to occupy myself.
Yeah.
So I think I want to take the pepper to another level. The challenges we face and the successes we face, I think my mother was a very strong-headed, ambitious lady.
Yes.
And that encouraged us to continue the business. When she died in 2006, for example, may her soul rest in peace, my adopted sister, Karl Williams, took up the challenge to continue the production of the pepper sauce.
Okay.
But unfortunately, she too fell into an ailment, the big C. She got the big C, and then she had to discontinue.
Yes.
Fortunately enough, she has recovered to the extent that she's now living a normal life.
Yes.
So in the quest for this tradition, this family name, brand not to fail, I decided to take up the mantle where she left off.
That's good.
And so these are some of the challenges. So it's I won't say tedious. It's a process that needs attention, because you have to maintain a standard, you have to maintain a product, you have to maintain consistency.
Yes.
And it's the rewards are burning because it's pepper.
Yes, yes.
And with my complexion, it tells on my skin.
Mm-hmm.
But it brings me a certain level of satisfaction knowing that I have taken up the mantle. The innovativeness of my mother and the creativity of my mother and her friends.
Sure.
To create such a product that I would say a high percentage of persons who use the product are satisfied with it.
Okay. Because I myself, I used to use this product because I normally go for things local.
Yes.
And I always buy Karls hot pepper sauce. Even when I go to restaurants and eat, I normally ask them for Karls pepper sauce, not knowing the man or the family, the tradition behind the name Karls pepper sauce. Talking about tradition, I see here you have your logo on your t-shirt. Let me just zoom on it a little more so that the people can see exactly what we are talking about here in terms of name branding and logo. All right, here people. Okay, so that is the brand's name, Karls hot sauce, and the numbers down here on his printed t-shirt. But Mr. Correa, in terms of your I know this discussion, we cannot go into some of the specifics because I would think that you have your recipe that you would not want the public to get that, that part of you out there. But just a broad base in terms of how you go about getting to the final product.
Actually, let's put a disclaimer. I didn't want this publicity, but since that you came and you said it was for a worthy cause, it was for bringing awareness.
Yes.
And I obliged, but I'm a very quiet, reserved individual who likes to from the background sometimes.
Yes.
But yes, it's a process. You get the fresh peppers, hot peppers, preferably the hottest you can get from the farmers. There is a process that you go through. You select them, then you have to dehead them, then you have to wash them, you have to sterilize them, and then you have to mash or blend them.
Mm-hmm.
You blend the peppers, and some people don't boil, but I do boil my pepper, for various reasons. And one of them is to increase sterilization.
Okay.
Preserving it. Then you add your vinegar, you add your salt. Some people add oil. I do not put oils on my pepper. Some people put cornstarch and those kinds of things. I do not put that in my pepper. I try to have the pepper as original as can be. Certainly I use other ingredients, seasonings.
Yes.
As you quite rightly say, not that I am a KFC, but there are certain aspects of the production you have to keep to your chest.
True.
To maintain a brand and if you want to maintain a quality and a taste.
True, yes.
So that aspect I can't go into it. But
yeah.
Basically you get the raw material from the farmers.
Mm-hmm.
And all my raw material comes from Dominica, from the markets, except salt and vinegar that we import.
Okay.
But most of my green seasoning comes from the market, comes from the farmer. So it is an industry that supports local, in that I buy from the farmer, or Foodex here, and I buy the seasonings from vendors at the market.
Okay.
And I do my production in my kitchen. It takes me sometimes a whole day or 2 days to get it right.
Yes.
Because you want to have it in a texture and a consistency that no matter what batch you put out on the market, it is almost of the same quality.
Quality and taste. Yeah.
One of the challenges is sometimes pepper is a funny crop. If it rains too much, the pepper gets watery,
Yes.
and therefore the potency of the pepper is affected. So sometimes the same pepper you might get in the dry season, in the wet season, the potency might be much lower. Therefore,
Okay.
the pepper now, the customer says the pepper is not as strong as before.
Yes.
The drier the pepper, the environment, is the stronger the potency of the pepper. So you tend to get some kind of watering down of the pepper during the wet season as compared to the drier months.
Yes.
And that is something we're trying to work on. We're trying to create that balance. Another challenge for us as a small producer is the consistency of supply. So one time you'll get predominantly red peppers, and you'll see pepper sauce being red in color and stuff like that. Sometimes you get darker red, so you get the sauce being a little darker. Or sometimes you get predominantly yellow peppers. So what we try to do is to keep a stock of the red peppers, the sauce.
Yes.
And when we get predominantly yellow, we try to mix the red with the yellow to bring that consistency back. Because of our level of production, we cannot get large supplies of red peppers all the time. So you get in between red, you get yellow, you get orange, and then you have to combine the mix so that you can get a steady texture and color and also flavor.
Okay. Okay. In terms of the market demand out there on a local level, how is that for you?
It's going pretty well. I must thank my customers. They have been loyal. They give me a lot of feedback, and I accept the feedback. So we have outlets around Roseau. We have Whitchurch. Our main outlet is Whitchurch.
Okay.
Whitchurch, IG. And they're not biased there for this simple reason. That's my mother's establishment, so to speak.
Yeah, and that's where it started.
And that's where it started. So we have Asta fans, we have also S-Mart,
Okay.
Lindomart, again another close associate of ours. So we have the different outlets. We're trying to spread to other outlets, but that will come in time. Yeah?
Okay. In terms of the regional market, are you there yet? Or
No, not
looking
yet.
at that?
Not yet. I'm definitely interested in doing that. Presently I'm working with a young guy from the Ministry of Investment, Mr. Monel.
Okay.
So we're trying to, as I said, we're trying to bring it to the next. It will take a certain amount of capital and investment, expansion, processing equipment to bring us to the next level. And once we get there, we can look at. I have tried, for example, selling product to Martinique, Antigua, Anguilla, and St. Thomas. The responses has been so far very good. The ability to supply on a consistent basis now is where the challenge might come.
Okay.
So that's where the expansion and the capitalization of the business will come in. So we'll take it step by step.
Yes, indeed. One more question, because you have a small demonstration to show the viewers after, and a number of persons already talking about the taste and the consistency of your product. So a lot of persons already on the live giving good feedback about Karls hot sauce.
Thank you very much.
In terms of the getting of the product itself, the raw product, the peppers, do you have any contract with any local farmers or farmers out there?
Well, some of us producers, as I said, we buy all the fresh pepper from the farm. It goes through a process. You have to dehead it, you have to clean it, you have to wash it, you have to blend it, boil it, that kind of stuff.
Yes.
We have partnered with Dexia, and Dexia seem to have gotten it right in that we buy since Amerijet and the pepper industry was affected by first Erica, the damage to the airports, Amerijet couldn't come in to take peppers as regularly. So there was a lot of surplus of peppers. Then Maria came, there were no peppers on island. So our small business pepper industry suffered, like Hot Brews and the others. We couldn't get raw material.
Yes.
So we met with Dexter and they said, hey, why don't you import mash from St. Vincent, for example? Because St. Vincent was not affected by Maria, so they had a surplus of peppers. So we got any mash, we bought the mash from Dexter, and we did our seasoning ourselves.
Okay.
And we came up with our different brands. Since then, Dexter has wisely so continued to do that with the local pepper sauce producers. So they buy peppers from the local producers. The excess, what they can ship, the excess, they mash it, or they blend it, they grind it, they preserve it, and we, the local pepper sauce producers, we can go there and buy the mash. So that aspect of getting the raw pepper, cleaning it, deheading it, washing it, sterilizing it, has already been done by Dexter. So that has helped us in cutting down on the amount of time, production time.
Yes.
So we can get the mash, we do what we have to do with it, manipulate it how we want, add our seasonings and whatever we want to bring out our different brand flavoring, and then put it out on the market. So that's a good area Dexter has assisted us in there.
Okay. All right. Just before we go to the demonstration aspect of it, in terms of the cost associated with the final product, can you give the viewing public an idea of the cost that comes along with that?
That's important because a lot of people see foreign pepper sauce on the shelves and they compare the prices.
Yes.
And the difficulty we have is in the raw material. The bottles, for example, cost a lot of money. One bottle will cost me $1 plus. Then you have the labeling. The labeling is another charge again. Then the covers, the seals. So without product in the bottle, you are already up to about $3, $3.50.
Okay.
Without even putting product in the bottle. Now you compare the Guyanese pepper or the Barbadian pepper or the St. Lucia and Trinidad. They have a greater capacity and they have cheaper. They deal with volumes.
Yes.
So they have a cheaper raw material base, including packaging material. They have printers. They have for Trinidad, for example, they have glass bottle manufacturing, and therefore you depend on the retailer down here who supplies you the bottles, and the cost is sometimes of a magnitude that you cannot compete with the imported pepper because their base cost is so much lower than yours because of the fact that they have the material readily available and in volumes that we do not. That is not a luxury for us.
Where do you get your bottles from?
I get it from a local distributor.
Okay.
I can say Jolly's Pharmacy.
Okay.
Jolly's Wholesale.
Okay.
So we get our bottles from there. Most of the small manufacturers, they get their bottles from there. Again, trying to import a container of bottles for a small outfit like mine would be very capital intensive.
Okay.
Then you have to talk about storage and all the logistics that goes with it. So it makes more sense buying it from the retailer.
Yes.
But certainly we are trying to champion for a lower cost price in the manufacturing material, the bottling, the labeling, and the seals. That then can bring down the cost of pepper. So you see a big bottle of pepper, for example, a 24 or 26 ounce pepper from Guyana selling for maybe $12, $15 on the shelf. And then you see a Hot Brews or myself or Karls selling for $16 for 10 ounce. And you say, wow, these guys are expensive.
Yes, yes.
Barring the quality and the taste, because you can't compare Karls pepper sauce with the Guyanese kind of pepper sauce they put on the shelf.
True, true.
I'm not going to call any names. But you cannot compare our local flavored pepper sauce, be it Karls, be it Papoose, be it I bring the other one to mind. To my mind, our pepper sauce, local pepper sauce, is of a higher quality, a higher flavor than what we seem to be getting from
Okay.
our original counterparts.
Cool. Mr. Correa, there's always talk from the policymakers about small business, small business, small business. Have you gotten any help from any government, or how are you sustaining that business?
Well, basically, I tend to invest from my own pocket.
Okay.
For now, as I said, I've been approached, and I'm working with Mr. Monel from the Ministry of Finance, Investment, and also Dexia has assisted me. I have a credit facility with Dexia. The personnel at Dexia, for example, is Dr. Ian Lambert and Danny. They have always been forthcoming with technical advice, with new methods as to how to do what we do. So I've been getting tremendous help. Recently I applied to the small backyard gardening assistance program from the World Bank with the Ministry of Agriculture, and the intention is to grow my own seasoning. Now, that might be selfish in a sense, because here is it, I'm going to cut off now purchasing from my local vendors who
Yes.
I have a nice relationship with. But the intent is always to cut costs and to probably make the product at a more affordable rate to the customer. So sometimes you don't have a choice but to try to grow what you use either in your backyard. So I have gotten some assistance from the small farmers, backyard gardening. Recently, about 3 weeks ago, I got some planting material, some fertilizer, and potting soil, and a few pieces of equipment that can help me to develop my own backyard gardening. I can plant my celery, my thyme, or whatever I use to put in my pepper sauce, so that I can see some savings there that I can pass on to the customer.
Cool. Thank you. All right, Mr. Don Correa, I want to thank you very much for speaking to me here. A lot of persons are there who, let me just ask that question. Somebody's listening and they ask, have you ever thought of buying the Bello factory, seeing that the Bello factory is now defunct?
That person can do a joint venture with me. Let's go for it.
Okay.
I mean, Bello has left, it's important, Bello has left a serious gap in our agro-processing business in Dominica. A gap that I personally think that the powers that be, whether it be government or whether the private sector, should have collaborated with small business agro-processing, see how they can bring us together.
Yes.
And to formulate a plant similar to Bello, because Bello was doing an outstanding job in terms of supporting the local farmers. We were doing pepper sauce. When I say we,
Yes.
We were doing pepper sauce. We were doing guava cheese. We were doing tamarind. We were doing a whole variety of agro-processing products. And the absence of Bello has left some of the farmers just having fruits on their fields, just going to waste. So I'm saying there's the opportunity, and I'm happy the lady brought it up, whoever the young lady is. There's an opportunity for us to either collaborate and do some joint cooperative, joint funding, because those things are capital intensive for
Yes.
any one person.
Yes.
I'm not a rich guy. I never came from a rich family. Although they say Correa rich. I struggle like everybody else.
I know.
But it's important that that idea be exhausted to the point where we can probably get some, because I know Dominica has some very, very good agro processors, small as they may, but the quality of the product that they produce, if it was just harnessed into a cooperative that can bring forth something like a bellow,
True.
you know, we can go places. We can have a Dominican authentic product, even if it is manufactured by 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 small agro businesses, but collectively we can get it into a producing plant. That we can bring out another brand name as well. The other thing is, well, we got on the idea to text to some other government establishments that if we can get a cubicle or a shed, I'm not doing it in my kitchen. I know Monday and Tuesdays, or Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays I can go to Dexia, they have a little cubicle I can use to produce pepper sauce. Whoever else, a small producer, can use it on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. That kind of thinking has to go into our manufacturing system.
Yes.
So that we can help the young and upcoming producers, processing products to better see their way extracted. Your quality assurance has to be on top.
Yes.
Anything can contaminate a batch of pepper. Anything can contaminate.
True.
You know, a product that you may sell. And some people get hard on us. For example, they say, well, oh, this pepper sauce is foaming or is fermenting. Yeah, there are stages in production where you get some kind of contamination. But the biggest of companies in the world, let's face it,
Yes.
the Toyotas, the Hondas, they have recalled.
Yeah.
They have recalled thousands of cars.
Yeah.
So please don't be hard on us. If you see our pepper fermenting or separating, there's a number on the label, call it. You know, we can recall. We can test it and see what went wrong.
Yes,
Instead of
yes.
just putting us down or criticizing us and say, well, your product is no good. As I said, the biggest of companies have recalls. Toyota recalls thousands of cars when they have a problem. They have a manufacturing problem. If Karls pepper sauce has a slight problem, if Hot Rose has a problem, they'll just put them down, call them up and say, look, hey, your pepper, something wrong with your pepper. Here's what I don't like. Well, this.
Sure.
So we can correct it. That's how we learn. That's how we tend to improve on the product.
Sure. Feedback from your customer is critical in the process as well. That's what you say.
Yes.
Yes.
Very, very critical.
All right, Mr. Correa, again, I want to thank you.
And the last one I want to say, those of us listening,
Before we go to the demonstration,
those of us listening, those of us participating, please support local. Please try to buy as many local products as possible. When you do that, you do get me richer, but I think you get the economy going a little bit better. You're empowering us to expand and to create some employment. So buy local, once it's of a good quality, once it's of a standard, continue buying local, continue supporting us.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Mister. Let's take a move across now. Just hold. All right, just hold that piece you have with you,
Yes.
folks. We are now going to Mr. Correa's small production area, but is indeed a site for us to look at. All right. As I said, he's doing it from home, so I'm now invading his space, as it were, and he's going to give us a small demonstration as to how he does what he does. Let me just get that that a little higher up, so that the persons can see exactly what you are up to in terms of the final product of your Karls hot pepper sauce.
It's going to be potent enough.
I know. I can smell it already.
Yeah, so I have to put my scrubbers.
Yeah, no problem. Do whatever you have to do. I'm right here with you.
Yeah, I have to put my
Do whatever you have to do.
my scrubbers. So I have to put my
That's your scrubbers, you say, right?
yeah, just to protect your. It's one of those basic medical gongs
Okay.
that you use.
All right.
So you get your proven soil, or you get your hair into the. I don't have hair, so. But basically, you put your scrubbers on.
Yeah.
So
At least you protect your body.
yeah, but you also protect the product from contaminants from your body.
Cool.
Yeah, busted thread or how do I say hair. So basically, you put your pepper in here.
Okay, hold on. Let me just get that frame a little closer up.
Put your pepper in here. You put your vinegar.
Okay, so that is vinegar you put in there, right?
Put your vinegar. I'm not doing a whole batch, so I just
Let me just get that down.
demonstration.
Right, let me just get a cord from my vehicle.
Okay, we'll give me some time to.
Alrighty.
So you put your vinegar, you put your pepper, your blender. I have a larger blender to do if I should get a lot of raw material from the farmers. But as I say, we get it from Dexter now, so there's no need to do all that now.
Okay.
So what we get from Dexter would be something like this.
Let me just put that. Yeah. Bring up the cup a little higher. Okay.
So what you get from Dexter is something like this.
Okay.
Right. So when you do this, then I pour it in my saucepan. Right?
Uh-huh.
And then, so as I say, some people don't boil because the mash is already preserved.
Mm-hmm.
But for reasons I will keep to myself.
Yes.
So now I boil. Well, I said it earlier. One to help preserve, but the second one is to do other things.
Yes.
So when you boil, you get your sauce like this. So you see,
Go back a bit. Let me just.
you see, you have a lot of mash. You have a lot of how you call it, rind.
Uh-huh.
So now you can remove that rind and use it to blend.
Okay.
Right? So the pepper is like this, but when you stir, the rind mixes with
Mix it. Yeah. Okay.
and it becomes a sauce.
Okay.
After I boil, I cool, and I store in pails. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, as I said,
So you say, let me see which one is ready. What does the readying process look like or feels like?
well, whether it has plenty rind in it or right. So I see this one. This one is ready. So that's the sauce.
Okay, let me just get a little closer up.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
See, that's the sauce right there.
Okay.
So I store it in pills.
Uh-huh.
So that's just a raw sauce, just
Right.
with vinegar,
Uh-huh.
salt,
Uh-huh.
pepper.
Okay. Okay.
And then the magic happens when you add your ingredients, your flavors,
Okay.
and then you get the final product. That's the final product.
Looking like this.
See? Without letting go too much of the manufacturing secret.
Yes, yes.
So you
Okay,
get
let
the
me
final.
just pull that a little closer to the
This
frame.
one has a busted.
Okay. All right, so folks, here it is. Here is the final product that we are discussing tonight. Karl's hot pepper sauce. You see it is well sealed. All right. What size bottle is that, Mr.
That's a
Correa?
5 ounce. We
Five.
have 5 ounces, and we have the 10 ounce.
Okay, that's a 10 ounce.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this, yeah. I don't have a 10 ounce bottle readily available, sealed, but that will be the 10 ounce.
Okay.
See?
All right.
That'll be the 10 ounce right there.
Okay.
So you have the 5 ounce.
Okay.
You have the 10 ounce.
Good. So the 5 ounce presently goes to at what price?
The 5 ounce will go to, well, it depends. It depends on the outlet.
Okay.
Some outlets buy more than others, so
Yes.
they get a different. But I sell it at my price at the store, so I won't want to.
I understand. I understand. I understand. I
And
understand that.
then some customer goes to you and say, "Hey, Corey says."
Yeah.
you
Okay.
know.
Cool.
Yes. Yes.
Now, I see you have a very interesting machine here, which is this piece of equipment. Can you just give the listeners and viewers an idea of what is this and the function of that?
Well, that is part of the capitalization of the business. I recently purchased this. It's going to be one of my boiling pots.
Okay.
It has the gauge, so I can monitor at a certain temperature. So when it reaches a certain temperature, it cuts off. When it's boiled, I can drain it out from here, right here,
Yes.
into my. I can either drain it out into my pails, or I can put a system bottle from that outlet,
Okay.
whether it's 6 bottles at a time, 10 bottles at a time.
Okay.
So that is part of the capitalization.
You spoke about earlier.
Yeah. So I'm trying to do investments bit by bit to expand my business.
Mr. Correa, any other thing you want to add as we bring this short discussion to a close?
Well, I just want to reiterate to our viewers that support local, support me, support Benjasimos, support Hot Rose, support the local agro-processing industries. So we're trying to put Dominica on the map. We can produce a lot of stuff in Dominica. What we need is the capacity, the capital, and the encouragement, the help.
Yes.
So that's all I can say. Thank you for allowing me. As I said, I did not call that onto myself, not that I want to boast about anything that I'm doing. I'm not that kind of person, those of us who know me. But the opportunity arose. I came here to do another what should I say?
Another project for you.
Another project for me.
And I was very insistent
yes.
that we do that discussion
Yes.
this afternoon.
Yes.
We have that discussion this
And I'm
afternoon.
happy with it because I think I shed some light on the whole experiences of agro processing in Dominica.
True.
And I hope those of us who are listening will do support our local industry.
True. Well, I learned a lot this afternoon by our small discussion, and I know a lot of persons viewing this afternoon learned something as well as to the name, the brand name, Karl's Hot Sauce, that some of them, it's like a household name in Dominica. You said it's like there for 50 something years,
Yes.
so by now it is a household name. And I know a lot of persons have been having that as the delicacy when they eat the food, but not knowing the origin, some of the details in getting to the final product. So again, I just want to thank you.
Actually, I wanted to keep it a secret, but up till now, it is exposed. everybody who sees me on the road now is going to call me Karls. I remember when I was working at the disaster office, every time I pass, here's the disaster man. So no, here's the pepper man, you know?
Yeah. Well, you get a second nickname.
Yes,
It's all good.
Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. All right, bro. All right, folks, let me just switch that thing back here. Wow, something went wrong, folks. Sorry about that. Yeah, you can put on yours. Yeah. With technology, you have to do a lot of, how you call it, a lot of adjustment. So I'm just trying to adjust my thing here so I can go into the second segment of the discussion this afternoon with all people right here. Some folks may be viewing now and maybe saying, wow, first time I see that guy without a hat.
Yeah.
But folks, that is, you had the discussion with Mr. Don Correa, telling us all about his small production, I must add. Let me just give him some space so he can continue to do his work. I am still in his home, and I'm going to run from his home with his permission the second part to our discussion this evening. We just heard that discussion from Mr. Correa from his... No, it's okay. As to the finished product of what we know to be in Dominica to be Karls hot sauce. Now folks, as I said, let me just get another notebook here before I get into the second segment. So I'll be taking about a minute break. So those of you who just want to get something quick, please feel free to do that as I get into the second segment of tonight's discussion. Another important discussion of what happened last night in Dominica in terms of at one of our leading business people here in Dominica. I'll be right back. All right, folks. Last evening, well, about 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock thereabout, I got word that something was happening in Dominica. Matter of fact, in Fonkole, at the Asta fans depot. At the Asta fans depot, somebody's consistent in calling me right about now. Let me just say. At the Asta fans depot, I heard, and even Emo News was trying to carry some of that activity live, whereby a robbery was in the process happening at Asta fans hardware. Asta fans hardware. Folks, let me just take a little check there. Well, 2 minutes. Let me just respond to somebody there, and then I'll get back to you guys. All right. All right, folks, sorry for that brief interruption. I just had to get to another call that was coming in here, and the person really was insisting that calling me over and over. Last night, folks, we heard of a situation, a very unfortunate situation, I must add, that happened at Asta fans in Fonkoli. Good. Now, I read on DNO subsequent to that, and to get into that discussion with the relevant questions that I'm going to ask, I just need to read what was reported on DNO so that we can put that discussion into perspective as we move forward into that discussion. It says here on DNO, police seek public assistance in investigation of robbery at Asta fans Fonkoli. The article starts by saying, head of the Criminal Investigations Department, that is the CID, Superintendent Matthew Coffey, is calling for the assistance from the public in an ongoing investigation into a burglary/robbery that occurred yesterday evening at Asta fans Hardware Department at Fonkoli. 2 suspects have so far eluded the police and are being sought in the matter. Coffey said that the police quickly responded to the matter and got on the scene of the crime as soon as possible. He stated that the police searched the entire building for 2 of the suspects, but they were not found. The CID chief is asking the public assistance to provide any information that may assist the investigation or may lead to the apprehension of the 2 suspects. He said that the police can be contacted at telephone numbers, and the numbers are 265-5157, 266-5100, 266-5153, 266-5164, and 266-5165. According to a report on DBS Saturday morning, it is alleged that the 2 suspects made good their escape with about $25,000 EC. That's the story emanating out of DNO. Now, folks, there has been a lot of talk around that very unfortunate situation, around that crime that occurred at Asta fans. But like every other body, I have been following that matter as well, and I just need to bring to the fore some of the situations that I believe is pertinent to that case and is relevant in terms of some questions that need to be asked. First of all, let me start with the company, Asta fans. What I heard from reliable sources, that is, and those reliable sources came from at least one of the victims in that matter. There was one young man who got hit on his head with the butt of one of the guns. And that information and more information is close to the source. So I can say yes, and I've confirmed it with different sources that knew about that situation, or they were part and parcel of that whole unfolding of that situation. The first question on my mind as it pertains to Asta fans, the company, is were your cameras, were your security cameras on at this time or on at that time? Were they on? Were they rolling? Were they operational? That is one of the questions that needs to be asked. And I guess as the investigation continues from the police department standpoint, they will continue to go deeper. Because I know I've been to Asta fans a number of times, and I normally step into that building and see a whole lot of little cameras right here, over there, all about in the place. So the first question is, were those cameras on? Were they working? Were they operational at that time? Because it's one thing to have cameras inside, but it's a totally different ball game to ensure that they were picking up, they were recording as to what was happening at the time. That's the first question on the table. The second question that bogs my mind as it relates to Asta fans, the company. A lot of times in Dominica, we go to various businesses and we see people. Now, I call these people watchmen or watchwomen. They are called security officers. But to me, in my layman understanding of a properly equipped security officer, you should never, to me that is a cardinal sin working in that profession, to be securing somebody's property and not be adequately armed to defend yourself and in addition the property or whatever buildings or articles you may be securing at the time. That is the other scenario, that's the other question that bugs my mind. The security or securities at Astafan, were they properly secured in terms of their tools that they needed to execute their job in a very diligent manner? The third question that bogs my mind, and to me is even the more important question that bogs my mind, and I know a lot of other persons may be thinking about it as we speak or have thought about it, is, and I will not go for security reasons for an investigation that is still ongoing. I will not go into some of the details that I am hearing as to what really went on that robbery yesterday. But the question must be asked, was there a lapse in security at that particular time when that situation occurred? Now, bearing in mind, I told you, friends, I'm hearing a lot of stuff, which I will not go into. But for some reason, something does not seem right on the surface of it for two masked men to come to do whatever they had to do. And the timing was so right that exactly when the cash